Hello and welcome to Filmi Ladies. Let's get right to the point. We've just seen Jawan along with everyone else, and Pitu has literally just seen it. She ran home. I don't even know if she's had a cup of tea, but she's here to record no tea, but all tea because it's a podcast. Um, I saw it yesterday, so less than 24 hours ago. Um, I want to actually start by talking about Tamil films because I
Oh,
think
okay.
we've talked about one on this podcast so far, which was Kandu Konde and Kandu Konde, which is very different from this one.
Yes.
Tell me what kind of massy masala-y Tamil films you have seen.
Not a lot. The the Tamil films that I've seen tend to be like the more sedate, like the Kandu Konde, Iruvar, Maunaragam type of the Mani Ratnam Central, basically. Like
Okay.
those are the ones I tend to watch. I'm
Okay.
not really much of a massy person. And I think the last massy movie I probably saw was like RRR and Pathaan, obviously.
Yeah.
But that actually is not my wheelhouse. Like the massy Rajnikant-ish, people can do whatever they want. The laws of physics and gravity do not apply.
Right.
That is not actually my wheelhouse much. Is it yours?
Not much, but I have seen a few, and I can't believe we just didn't mention that we obviously saw PS1 and PS2.
Oh yeah.
Um, so this will be the fourth essentially Tamil film on this podcast. I've seen a few Rajnikant films like The Robot
Oh
and
yeah.
Kala and a couple of Shivaji. I've seen a couple of Vikram films, and
Mm.
those I really love. I've seen, a few of Sid's films. I like him very much. And I've seen a couple of other assorted ones along the way, such as a Kamal Hassan spy movie.
Okay.
So I've seen a couple, like 10-ish, something like that. And I tried to watch another of Utley's films this afternoon, and I only got halfway through because I was like, this is not for me.
No.
And it was very, very similar to Jawan. I tried to watch the most recent one that is described by some people as like being Chuck Day India on steroids because he
Oh,
coaches hosts coaches a women's football team, but also there's
okay.
revenge because Tamil Masala.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, yeah, these are not really my wheelhouse interest area wise. I'm gonna say something that I don't have a ton of experience to back up, but so far, my experience with Masala Tamil and Telugu films is that they have, apart from the songs, which I think are often quite brilliant, they have the things that I don't tend to like in Hindi Masi Masala, they have times about 10,
Right, right.
which is mainly the machismo. Um,
Yes.
this one, obviously, Jawan is obviously not quite in that direction, but for a movie that has like a killer team of 6 women in it, there's an awful lot of men doing an awful lot of very macho-y things and a lot of
Right.
women doing kind of macho-y things, and toxic masculinity is still at play and stuff like that. Okay,
Right.
so we're going to this, as will surprise no one, as Shahrukh fans, as Hindi film watchers.
I clapped and whistled when his name came
Oh yeah,
on the screen.
did your audience go as crazy for Sanjay Dutt as they did for Shahrukh? Because
No
mine
one
did.
did.
Oh,
No.
my audience was so about Sanjay Dutt, and I don't know why, because I was like, I don't care that he's in this film, but people
No.
were very excited about that.
Also, Sanjay Dutt in any capacity as like a uniformed person is just not believable at all. And also, Sanjay Dutt is a hostage negotiator. Like, what
No, it
drugs
was
are
a
you smoking,
highly
athlete?
a highly sarcastic piece of casting, I think. Although this seemed to be appealing. I, I wouldn't actually say that this was probably sarcastic, but if someone told me this casting was done by someone who was like, see what I did there, I would believe
Right.
you, but I don't know if
Yeah.
that was actually the intent. Um, let's talk about how this works as there's conversation going on about, is this a pan-Indian film? My
I
gut is
guess.
my gut is
I don't know.
no. What do you think?
I actually, to be honest, do not know what that phrase means. I mean, I kind of have an idea. Like
Well,
people
what I
keep
mean, what does
saying
it mean?
RRR is,
Yeah,
and
what does it mean to you? Tell me what
to
you think
me,
of.
I think I think of something as like taking something that is very specific to like a specific filmmaking culture, and then like trying to like broaden its scope for everyone to watch it. So RRR would be in that
Mm,
category. Bahubali is one of the movies that started off that trend. Pushpa in recent times is, part of that, or KGF. I have not watched Pushpa or KGF, just FYI. But I think that to me is like where they're trying to take this like very hyper specific filmmaking vision, and they're trying to like see if everybody likes it. And it's like I'm not a fan of that. I don't think either you or I liked RRR very much.
no.
And I just don't see in these. I mean, Hindi masala is masala enough for me. I am not
Yeah.
a fan of like even like 70s masala is not my jam at all. So the
Right.
idea of like Tamil masala being my jam is no, no, no. The Tamil movies I watch are the very like genteel, sedate movies, with the exception of like Nayakan. But like, yeah, like this is not my jam. However, I'm completely here for masala Shahrukh. So put
Sure.
it this way, I watched this movie for Shahrukh and I
Oh yeah.
enjoyed this movie because of Shahrukh. But
Yeah.
if it was a movie starring someone other than Shahrukh, anyone else, I would not watch it.
I might if someone had given me what I feel was a pretty good act, or what if someone gave me a good representation of how the women operate in it,
Yeah,
I might not go in the cinema, but I do think
yeah,
seeing it on the big screen was the way to go, because trying to watch um a million apologies for I don't know how to pronounce the name of this film, even though in English it has 5 letters. Bigil, big, Bigil,
Bigil,
no, Bigil,
Bigil.
maybe. And I think when the character, I almost thought it was Bigile when people were saying it in the film. I don't
Yeah,
know. But anyway, the director's previous film, which I did try to watch this afternoon, on my TV at home, not as fun,
not
not
as
as fun,
fun.
because there's
Yeah,
no one to clap for Vijay when he enters twice,
right.
as he has a dual role, because of course he does.
Okay.
Um, in fact, the same dual role as Shahrukh has. But by the way, spoilers ahoy! Like, we're not even going to try with the no spoilers on
No,
this, Jawan.
no.
So yeah, this was, and I feel like, I mean, we've talked before about Shahrukh as an experimenter, and how he, Chennai Express obviously had a taste of Southern style masala. And
Mhm.
I apologize also for, sometimes I'm going to try to be specific about Tamil or Telugu, and sometimes I'm going to just say Southern because I don't know
Yeah,
enough. But also, I feel like in the at least Hindi oriented press, that's also what gets said, which
yeah,
is very unfair, because if someone were to say, I've never heard anyone say North Indian films,
right,
but why not? Right. Like that. And then all the
right,
Bengalis would be like, excuse me, we are not the
right,
same as Hindi cinema.
right.
So anyway, that's very unfair. I've completely lost my train of thought, because it's almost 9:30 at night for me, by the way,
Right.
listeners. But anyway, so I feel like this worked well as an experiment. I thought he seemed to be having a good time doing it. I thought he did it well. As I was watching, I was like, is there another Hindi film star I would put in this? The answer is no.
No.
Um, I feel like, does this feel a little bit like, or a lot like what I've seen Rajnikant do? Yes,
Okay.
very much. Slightly different kind of vibes, obviously, because of, well, you can't even talk about ages when it comes to Rajnikant, because the
Right.
facial smoothing and everything like is just through the roof. But I feel like this maybe a little bit different in some ways, but this feels very much like a Rajnikant film to me. And
Right.
I'm sure that I'm speaking with a great deal of ignorance here, because I've only seen a handful, but this, um, the social reformer Robin Hood kind of thing. And I'm sure there are other people who do it too. Those are just the
The
ones I'm familiar with.
vigilante angle
Yeah.
of it.
And
Yeah.
it was, I found, again, I know this is not for me. It was really heavy-handed
It
at
was very
some of the
heavy-handed.
social messages. And I would have enjoyed it more personally if it had been pulled back about 40%.
Yeah.
But I know that pulling things back is not what's at play here. And I do appreciate
Right.
that they, just were going for it. I did
Yeah.
tear up a couple of times, especially about the farmers. Um, oh, and the hospital is
Yeah.
terrible. And like the very eye for an eye is very satisfying. And
Yeah.
so
The
I
little
don't
boy in
know.
the jail.
Oh yeah.
That was sad.
Yeah.
Deepika was
I
so effective in that tiny little role that she had. I loved her in
mhm,
it. She was
mhm,
awesome.
mhm. I really enjoyed this. I'll probably never watch it again, but I had a great time. By the time they have the giant car slash truck slash motorcycle chase, I was beginning to check my watch,
Yeah.
and then it did rather keep going for a while, but it was certainly hurtling along, and probably if it had been earlier in the day, I would not have been quite as antsy. But yet sometimes those cinema seats are not comfortable after 3 hours. So,
Right.
but again, like if this is what is done, it seems to me they did it really well with great
Yeah.
gusto. Um, a lot
The
of blood.
enthusiasm was not lacking, I will
No, the
say.
enthusiasm was not lacking. The
Yes.
blood was not lacking. The bullets were not lacking. The padlock was not lacking. The baseball bat with baseball, or was that a softball? I couldn't quite tell. Like, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. The one thing that I would say was a little lacking, and I feel this is the theme of this podcast so far, is the songs. I
The
was not
songs
that
were
excited by the
so
songs.
bad. Chalaya, completely forgettable. That other
Yeah.
song whose name I can't even remember anymore, completely forgettable. Just the last song, Ramaya Vastavia, I enjoyed it, but only for the dance because I liked
Yeah.
how Shahrukh danced. Oh, Zinda Banda. Zinda Banda
Yeah.
was, Chalaya was, what is with, we could always, like, a Shahrukh Khan film always guaranteed phenomenal music. And it's like, why is the music so bad?
They were
Pathaan
okay,
is,
but I
yeah,
just that's all I have to say for it. I
it was
won't
just
seek
very
them
bad.
out.
Yeah. I did find the pacing also very interesting because one thing I liked about the movie in the beginning was that the pacing was so like boom, boom, boom. It was
Yeah.
fast. Things were happening. He was proposing to Nayantara. The little girl was making him her daddy. It was like all these things were happening. And then somewhere after the interval, it lost steam. And then it was just too much. There was too much Vijay Sethupathi. There was too much Shahrukh. I know that's a blasphemy to say there was too much Shahrukh, but there was just too much going on, and like it really needed stronger editing.
Mm.
But I enjoyed every avatar of Shahrukh that there was. I
Oh
was
yeah.
here for it. Yeah, I was here for Daddy Shahrukh. Salt and pepper hair Shahrukh was like seriously hot. I went with a friend and I looked at her and I was like, why? This man is going to be 58 in November. Why is he so hot? This was like, what is going on? I was here for young Shahrukh.
I mean,
I
do you
was here.
remember your reaction when I told you how old Vikram is and you were like, "No."
Vikram needs to release his skincare routine. Like he needs to have like a beauty regimen because that man is smoking. Like he has like grown children that are married. I don't understand. Um, but yeah, I loved all the Shah Rukhs in this movie. I loved
Mhm.
all his disguises. I loved all his like weird mummy like rags that he wore. I liked bald Shah Rukh, and I never liked bald people, but I liked bald Shah Rukh. I was here for him. I liked all of his synthetic, like polyester tight shirts. They reminded me a little bit of Om Makija from Om Shanti Om, that
Mhm.
character.
Mhm.
I loved his like romance, his mud wrestling with Deepika. I liked his scenes with like the little girl. I liked his scenes in what I presume was Tibet or Dharmshala or whatever. I liked that. I liked every single Shahrukh that I saw in this film, and I felt like I got a lot of Shahrukhs for the price of one ticket,
Oh
and so
yes.
me happy. I'm here for that.
I mean, for amount of Shahrukh, it was basically at fan levels,
Yes.
maybe slightly
Uh,
less, but because there were a few other people in the film.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it was full value for money for
Yeah.
your Shahrukh coinage, which is
Yes.
pretty much all I was there for. So good
Yeah.
times.
And like Vijay Sethupathi, I thought was like really funny, and he uttered a line that I want on a T-shirt, and it is
Oh,
going to become a line that I'm going to quote in real life and on this podcast in the future, which was "Kaun sa samosa." He just made me
that's right.
laugh. He was so funny, and at first I was not on board with him. Now I have seen Vijay Sethupathi in other films, and I think he's such a brilliant actor, but he was so caricaturish. Like that villain was so ridiculous.
Yeah, I didn't find him very menacing, I have to say.
No, he was just I was like, what is wrong? Like he was just very, very silly, I thought. But he kind of won me over a little bit later because he was very sort of like tongue in cheek and funny. I liked his dialogue delivery. I
I
liked the
loved at
scene
the
where he
end,
was threatening Deepika.
and I loved at the end when the gun doesn't work, he's like, "Oh, I see, it's come full circle." And I was like, like the levels at which like nuance is then pushed into overtness, which then kind of circles back in on
Yeah,
itself, like the meta that then wasn't meta that was then said. It was all very fascinating about like as a text.
yeah,
It's very interesting
yeah,
about pushing a lot of that. But yeah, I didn't find him. I mean, we all know what's going to happen in the end anyway.
right.
But I did not find him very menacing somehow. And I've seen enough Southern masala to feel like I've got a good handle on, I've got an acceptable handle on some of the villainy that can be done. And this was
Yeah.
like, I almost wanted like Prakash Raj in there somehow,
Okay.
even though he's like physically less threatening, but like,
Mm.
I don't know, like line delivery wise, he was more scary to me, but I don't know. But again, maybe this was supposed to be sort of played as a, not for laughs, but something
Definitely
kind of
tongue
like
in
it.
cheek and kind of like making fun of the audience maybe a little bit. I kind of enjoyed it. At
Yeah.
first I was not on board, but then
Mm.
by I really liked him in that scene where he was threatening Deepika, who's just like so upset, and he's talking about her eyes are gonna pop out and then her tongue is gonna stick out. And I was like, gosh darn, this is very,
Yeah, it was
very
gross.
violent and very gross. But at the same time, he's making me giggle. And a lot of people in the audience were giggling. And I was like, I just thought that was like really well done.
Mm.
But other than that, the villainy was very one dimensional and silly, I thought. It also did seem the social messaging was very heavy handed, very like shove it down your throat
But at
type.
least like it's interesting to see social messaging be heavy-handed, and I agree with it.
Yeah,
Because usually the messaging that's heavy-handed is just straight up jingoism, and
right.
that's usually just
Or like
laughable.
morality speak.
Right. Like there's no, is
Yeah.
that going on here? This is,
Yeah.
and I thought Shahrukh really sold that speech at the end, frankly. Like,
Yeah.
and I actually went back and watched the 70-minute speech from Chuck Day this afternoon. And I was like, yeah, I feel like this would rank pretty well up there too in terms of a cheesy but
Yeah.
true and
Right.
timely and
Yeah.
applicable to basically everyone, right?
Yeah.
And I liked that. I believe that people would be streaming it on their phones live and being like, yeah, man, to their friends. No, but that's
No.
okay. Um, I I thought that speech was really well done, and
Yeah.
thought he sold it pretty well.
I felt like this movie required a lot of mental like being there from me, because
Mm.
I had so much trouble like keeping things straight and figuring stuff out. And then like when the daddy Shahrukh came to like rescue Azad, I was so confused. And I turned to my friend and I was like, is this like a twin movie? Is this like a Jurva Bhai movie? But then they don't look the same age. What is going on? And then my friend was like, I think that's the dad. I think that's Vikram. And I was like, oh, so Vikram Rathod and Azad are two different people. And so that was like a moment for me. But as we have mentioned before, I am a little bit of a dum dum where these things are concerned. So they're definitely required, like, I definitely had to like, it wasn't a movie where you could check out. Whereas I feel like Pathaan was a movie that if you wanted to check out and you wanted to like
Mm.
daydream, you could. But
Mhm.
with this one, I felt like I needed to follow along.
And that might be our lack of Tamil masala
Right.
knowledge coming through, right? Because so for me, I actually thought this is where sometimes not, relying on subtitles, I think is actually a bit of a help because I lose things and then therefore I'm not as misled every now
Mm,
and then because but when it opens with the little boy who says, I'm going to find out who you are,
yeah.
and then we're in the subway and the police officer is a character from the Northeast. There's
Yeah.
never characters from the Northeast in
Right.
mainstream Hindi films, so that was obviously the
Right.
same little boy.
Right.
To me, like I was like, that has to be him because we're not going to have more than one
Right.
ever. And I was glad to see that little boy all grown up and being a nice,
Yeah.
helpful grown up. That was very cute.
It was very cute. Yeah. I felt like the acting of all the children were really good. The
Yeah,
little
the
boy
kid
who was
actors were
Azad
pretty
was
good.
good. The Northeastern boy was really good. The little girl was good. How did you feel about Nayantara? This is the first movie I've seen of hers.
So she's in the one I tried to watch this afternoon,
Big Gay
and I
movie.
chose it because of her. She seems fine. She
You know
got
who I
out of a
was
car
casting?
wearing high heels and carrying a
Boots.
gun, and the audience went bananas. And I was like, this seems like I appreciate a lead woman getting an entry like a lead man. I think
Right.
that's fun. I think it's very appropriate in a film like this.
Yeah.
I appreciated her sort of macho shtick,
Swagger.
her swagger, and I was kind of thinking about how her character is different than Dimples
Mm,
from Pathaan. Obviously they have different, like, in the government they play different roles, but like,
right.
badass law enforcement woman. um I didn't feel like I got anything special off of her. I don't think she was bad in this. I just didn't think she brought anything unique.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a Hindi delivery issue, if that's a for me, a
I felt like
subtitles
she just
issue.
had the one
It was fine.
expression, like she was just sort of like stony faced the whole time. And I kept mentally casting her as I kept casting Tabu instead of her.
Yeah, that would have been better.
Tabu, especially, like Fana is a terrible movie. Do not watch it. I'm saying to the audience, if they, although the songs are great,
Yeah.
but Tabu in Fana, like Tabu in any kind of uniform is just so badass. Actually, Tabu in anything is badass, but Tabu in a uniform, especially, like, is very, very
I
amazing.
felt like what was missing from her for me was
Mm.
that Shahrukh's characters had a little bit of a twinkle in their eyes, like
Yeah.
that little impish, mischievous, he's the monkey thing.
Hmm.
And I didn't feel like she had any of that, and therefore it didn't. I felt like they could have matched better in that
Yeah.
way. Now, yes, she's a incredibly stressed out single mom. It's fair that she's not twinkly.
Hostage
Hostage
negotiator.
negotiator. She has a pretty stressful life. Is her life more stressful than his? I don't know, but they're both
Right.
caretakers of younger women in a way.
Right.
He does a lot of negotiating too, just from the other angle. So I think, and what I'm trying to get at is, I don't know if I'm saying that I felt like the actor was missing a twinkle or the character was missing a
Mm.
twinkle or both, but I think that
I
could
think
have
that,
made them kind of vibe more convincingly for me, because it's like it was such a templatey romance that I was
yeah.
like, whatever, it doesn't really matter. They got together because of the daughter, which
Yeah.
was effective, but also very weird.
Yeah. It had a
Very
few
weird.
shades of it almost had a few shades of Kuch Kuch Hota Hai to me,
Totally,
with
totally.
like the little girl being like, trying to like hug these people up and everything. And I was like, when I was that age, I was basically just like watching cartoons. I was not trying to like hook people up. So I don't
You were
know.
not on the dating apps when you were
I was
10?
not on the dating apps when I was 10. I was watching like Care Bears and shit. I still watch Care Bears.
Yeah,
Um, so
it's
no, I
weird.
just feel like her character was so one dimensional. It was just very like, I'm like this Lara, what is that, Lara Croft Tomb Raider
Yeah.
person, like with the tank tops and the cargo pants and everything. And she just seemed kind of like meh. I don't think she ever showed any kind of emotion at any point. Even the scenes where she was worried for her child, you would imagine that she would emote a little bit more, but she didn't. um she was just kind of mad. I think it was the character was
Mm.
very, very poorly written, very wooden, but I think it was also her, because I don't think Deepika's character was particularly well written either. Like, I mean, better
Mm.
than Nantara's character, but Deepika definitely played it so much well, like so much better. I
I mean,
liked
she
the way
had
she
almost
acted.
as much to do, but condensed into a shorter
Yeah,
time. I mean, minus the fighting. She obviously didn't have to fight,
right,
but the
right.
the like mother emotional stuff
Yeah.
and love
But
story
like,
stuff she got to do
yeah, even
condensed.
like the mud wrestling and like,
That's
the
funny.
twinkle in her eye, like she
Yep.
was so cute. Like she just had so much more like charisma and screen presence. And so like I thought she did a really good job and acted really well. And at one point I looked at my friend and I said, it was in one of the jail scenes where Deepika is literally wearing like a white plain khadi sari with like a blue border, so simple. Her hair's in a bun, she has no like obvious makeup going on, and like no ornamentation, and she
Yeah.
looked like $1 million. And I look at my friend and I go, how does this woman look like this? How? Like, I can't take my eyes off her. She's literally wearing like a regulation, like prison sari. But I really like Deepika in it. And I can see why Shahrukh and Deepika are such a good pairing, literally ever since Om Shanti Om. I almost wish that it was Deepika in Nayantara's role. And Deepika's role maybe could have been played by someone else. But Nayantara was
Mm.
definitely like a downer for me.
Yeah, I just, and this is something I have experienced in the Tamil and Telugu masala I have seen, is that
Mm.
the women are even more kind of minimal and cardboard than I have
Yeah,
than in Hindi. Overall, I am generalizing. I would like to be wrong. Um,
right.
but that's my experience so far.
Yeah.
Um, which
Now,
is too bad.
I know from like all of our conversations in the past that you were not a fan of like violent movies. I know you don't like violent movies, and I know you don't like horror. And of course, this was not horror. But how did you feel about like I feel like this movie was pretty violent, and I didn't mind it, but that's also because I have
I
a
mean,
stomach for
I
this stuff.
expected it to be
Okay.
as such, and it was. And they certainly show their hand. I mean, that the opening sequence with the, is that China who's butchering
I assume
Indians in the
so.
Northeast? Yeah, so I was like,
Yeah.
ooh, cool racist movie right away. Great.
Right.
Um, but the you know, that's more or less what I expected it to be, and it was. I was grateful for the lapses, or when they paused from it. Um, and the I to me, actually, that was the harshest scene to watch, because they're just butchering completely innocent people.
Right.
Whereas when it's the bad guys and the good guys fighting, and the bad guys have been established for reasons that they're bad, as opposed to like
Right.
they're just China. um,
Right.
which yes, but also
Yeah.
I say as an American person, like, yeah, I get it.
Right.
So that was kind of that was the hardest one to watch, I thought. But
Mm. There
yeah,
were a
that like
lot of kids in the audience in my theater, like a lot of
there were a
children.
couple in mine too, and there was like a 3-year-old running around, like
Oh.
about to go out the emergency door and stuff, with parent was like 50 feet away, and I was like, why are you bringing, first of all, this movie started at 7:15 p.m. and you're
Right.
not going to be home until at
Yeah.
least 10:15, probably more like 10:45.
Right.
Why are you bringing this little child to this movie? And like, I know their babysitters can be expensive and hard to find, but I'm like, and maybe that kid is so small that this kind of goes over their head.
Mm.
But the kids who are like 8 or 9, I just feel like, ooh, but
Yeah, it was definitely very violent, and like our theater was full of like, like adults, but also
mhm,
quite a few children. And I was
mhm.
just like, this is maybe a bit much for kids, but what do I know?
That would be my take
Um,
on it. We are both not
yeah,
parents, for the record, but
right.
but I do think letting your kid run around and scream while there's a movie going on when people are trying to hear the dialogue is not cool.
Right. Did you have screaming children in theater?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
And like the movie
No,
was
the kids in my
loud,
theater
but
were quiet and they were like
okay,
eating their
perfect.
nachos or whatever. I just like side-eyed the people who had brought small children to this movie. But I was telling my friend like one of the funnest experiences I've ever had was when I watched The Dirty Picture in Chicago. And that is also not a movie where you
Nope,
should be bringing small children.
nope.
But there was we were like about 13 friends and we had like the entire last row to ourselves. This was like a
Ooh.
small theater in Niles, the big cinema.
Oh,
And
Niles. Yeah,
yeah,
love it.
and literally in the row in front of us there was like a couple with a kid, and the kid must have been like 6 or 7 years old. And do you remember that scene in The Dirty Picture where Imran Hashmi, Vidya Balan's character, is seducing Imran Hashmi's character, and she like gives him the cake, and then like I think she puts like the cream on him to lick it off or
Something
something.
like that, yeah.
And yeah, and the little kid in front of us just piped up really loudly and goes, "Is it Uncle's happy birthday?" It's like the
In a
entire
manner of
theater
speaking, yes,
was
it
like
is.
laughing. Yeah.
Is it Uncle's happy birthday?
It was so funny. I saw Dirty Picture so many years ago and I've never like forgotten that moment. But I was like, why would you bring your child to watch a movie this raunchy? It's literally called The Dirty Picture. It's literally a movie about Silk Smitha.
Right.
But apparently it's a game. Um, is there how did you feel about the way Shahrukh looked? Because when I saw some of the promos for that Chalaya song, I felt like the de-aging was very bad. Um,
It
like
was,
all
I
this
felt like it
face
was all over
moving.
the place.
Yeah.
At a certain point, I gave up trying to decide which was the least effective to me. I thought the aging was done well. So when
Yeah.
he's playing
Oh,
Vikram, I thought that
yes.
and of course, like, dude's a lifelong smoker, like it's gonna start to catch up with him really soon here. So that and also at one point I was like, so how old is anyone supposed to be in this? And I was like, you know what? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I decided not to worry about it.
I was very confused by the ages as well. Okay, you know whose casting especially really confused me? The lady who is supposed to be Azad's mom, because she's like the jailer woman. The woman did
when
not
they
look a day over 30.
oh, and
Kaveri Amma.
when they flashed back and it was her, I was like, what?
And the scene where she's like his parent or guardian, and so she's going to like go for like the arranged marriage meeting or whatever, and he's like, she's his mom? What? And I'm pretty sure I know why they named her Kaveri Amma, because Kaveri Amma was the name of his mom in Swades. Not his mom,
Cute.
but like the nanny person. But like she actually looked like his nanny. This person looked like she was, I just couldn't, I was like,
she had aged
she's
5 years in, I mean, he has to have been at least 30 as Azad,
right.
because he worked at the prison for 12 years. I'm sure he did not become warden at age 18. Even Shahrukh, that would be pushing it. Even a Tamil film hero, that would be pushing it.
So wait, so Azad was, let's say, 30. So how old was Vikram Rathore when Azad was born? Was he also 30? So is he now 60?
Sure.
Okay.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I was worrying about it. I was like trying to do the math. I was like,
I know.
Wait, I was like, okay, so in the scene where Vikram Rathore comes to rescue him, I was like, okay, that's his twin. This is a Judwa Bhai movie, Allah Manmohan Desai. And then I was like, no, but he didn't have a twin. Wait, but they don't look the same age, so they can't be twins. So then I was like, okay, it's not Judwa Bhai, you guys. It's Bada Bhai. It's his older brother. And I'm like, okay, that's believable. And then I was like, and then my friend goes, I think that's the dad. That's Vikram Rathore. I'm like, wait, that's the dad? I was so confused. So at this point, Deepika Padukone has placed his girlfriend, his wife, his mom. She's also playing, isn't she also playing Ranbir Kapoor's mom in Brahmastra?
It seems like it, right?
Yeah, so Deepika Padukone is going the Wahida Rahman way, where she's basically playing mom to the people that she romances.
It's a well-trod trail in Hindi cinema, unfortunately. So, I mean, to be fair, she's not playing Shahrukh's mom to him as an adult.
Right.
Yet.
Right.
I'm sure it's coming, but not yet. Not yet. Who of our cool team of lady vigilantes was your most favorite? Now I'm gonna have to say I don't remember anyone's name, even with their little intro on the screen and what their little like tag was.
I liked, well, I mean, didn't they only tell us the backstory of two people? They showed us Sanya Malhotra's backstory because she's the doctor. That was very effective. With the cylinders and the scene where she calls her the minister and he tells her all the steps, like all the red tape to get the things. And I loved that scene where like she and her doctor friends finally managed to do something and they get the truck full of cylinders, but all the kids are dead. I thought that was so effective, so well done. So I really liked her. And then when she stands for trial and they're like, oh, it's because she was on drugs. And I was like, how dare you? But I liked that a lot. And I liked when they kind of apologized to her on TV. But the story that I thought was the most effective was the one with the farmer, where he says to his daughter, like, he's like, yeah, you go and do your exam. It'll all be fine. And she comes back and he's hung himself. That was so, I don't know the actress's name, but I thought she did a really good job. And it was very satisfying to see her come with that big shovel and just go bump.
Oh, when she hit the bad guy with the shovel, that was maybe my favorite moment of the whole film.
Yes,
I didn't expect it, and it was super
very satisfying. It was very satisfying. I liked that moment very much. But they didn't actually show the backstory of any of the other girls, so
I wonder
that
if those
confused me. Yeah, because I was like, so there's 6 girls, so they showed these 2, so then the other 4 are coming, right? But then they never came, and then I was like, what? So that was interesting. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I'm not even sure really why I asked that question, since we really only get to know two of them. And then maybe like short-haired hacker girl, we get a little bit more of her. I
Did they
felt
tell
like,
us
no,
her
not her
story?
backstory, but I felt like she
Oh,
got a few more lines than maybe
oh,
some of
okay.
the others. But I enjoyed the concept, and I'm sure if I were more familiar with those performers, I would have gotten more out of it, because it's just been fun to see. Like, because
Yeah.
I think I might be coming uh Sanya Malhotra, like I
She
might be a
is
fan.
so good. I like her.
Whenever she
So
shows up with her curly hair, I'm like, I love you and your curly hair and your baby face, and you're so good.
she's so cute. So I've seen her in two movies, one very recently and one not so recently,
Mm.
where I would not recommend those movies and I would not tell anyone to go out and watch them. However, she was very good, which has been my experience with Sanya Malhotra so far. That even if she stars in a movie that is not that great, and she's definitely done a lot of not great movies, she's always very good.
That
So,
is telling me she is 5 feet tall.
oh, she kind of looks 5 feet tall. Sanya
Interesting.
Malhotra does. She looks
Interesting.
teeny tiny, but if she's 5 feet tall, how tall is Alia Bhatt? Because that girl cannot be more than 4'11" in that
I
case.
know.
Anyway, I digress. But I recently saw her in Meenakshi Sundareshwar, which was
Mm-hmm.
but Sanya Malhotra made a good. And the only reason I know about the Bigil thing, by the way, because I've never heard of this movie, but in Meenakshi Sundareshwar, so this is also kind of meta.
Oh,
There's a sari that she wears, a green one that her friend has gifted her, and her family members look at her in the sari and they say, is this the sari that Nayantara wore in that movie Bigil? And she says,
aha.
yeah, it's the one. So
That's
that's the only
cool.
reason I know. Yeah. So she was really cute in Meenakshi Sundareshwar, although the movie was silly and I don't recommend it. She was also very good in a movie that had a phenomenal premise, but ended up being extremely disappointing and very, very bad. And that movie is, I think it was called Love Hostel. It has Bobby Deol in it. It's part of the Bobby songs. It's
I
got
had
such a
not
great
heard of
premise.
that, and I'm
Oh
looking
yeah,
at
it
it.
sank without a trace. I think it went
Oh,
straight to streaming, and it's got such a
oh,
great concept though. So I did not know this, but apparently in North India, because honor killings happen so much or whatever, there are these like safe houses that the government has set up where like couples who are on the run who have eloped and are in fear for their life can go and live in, they're literally like called love hostels colloquially, and they can go stay over there until like the things die down a little. And so in this movie, Sanya Malhotra and whoever the protagonist is, I forget.
it's
um,
Vikrant Massey, isn't it?
Oh yeah, yes, it was Vikrant Massey. So they run away, and then Bobby Deol has been hired by Sanya Malhotra's very mean family to hunt them down, and he has just been released from jail. And his whole shtick is he goes to these love hostels to kill the people who live there. So the idea was very interesting, but the movie was
Mm.
very badly done. However, Sanya was good in it. So yes, I also enjoy watching her on screen and look forward to seeing more of her. She's very good.
She's good in Puglight, and she's good in
I have not seen that.
Badaiho, of course.
Oh
And
yeah,
Ludo. She's good in Ludo. And she's good in Dungle, obviously.
I've
So
seen Ludo, but I don't remember. Yeah, of course
there's
she's
a
good
lot
in
going
Dangle
on
as
in
well. Yeah,
Ludo. So
I want to see more of her.
yeah. And
Yeah,
there's more to see. So
but
that's good. Oh,
so how
gosh,
do
she's
we
so
feel
young.
about the? How old is she?
31.
Oh, well, she
Young.
definitely is very baby faced. Maybe she can play the next like mom of Shahrukh. A la Jailer Lady. Jailer Lady also needs to drop her skincare routine because Jailer Lady also looks very, very. Maybe she shares the same like beauty secrets as Vikram does. Um, so, how do you feel about? It seems to me like Shahrukh, so for like 4 years or 5 years or whatever, he didn't do any movies, and all of us were tired of the films he was doing prior to that, with like Zero and When Harry Met Sejal being so atrocious and all of that. And now it seems like he's come back with like Pathaan and Jawan, and now Dunki is coming out in December. And I'm looking forward to that. I think that movie is going to be more my cup of tea because it's
Mhm.
Rajkumar Hirani, and so it won't be violent. And he always does these like social dramas. So I'm excited, and the concept seems very interesting. It's about like illegal immigration and stuff.
Mm.
Um, but how do you feel about this new groove that Shahrukh has found himself in, where he's becoming like an action star at age 60, and clearly the audience is loving it.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, So I was trying to think, like, if it were anyone else, would I feel differently? And I think the answer is probably yes. So I admit
Right,
to some biases or whatever. That said, each actor's trajectory and all is different. They may be very
right.
similar in some ways, but like each one of these people is a distinct person with their own persona and whatever else. So, um, and I was also thinking about how, like, Salman's been doing some sort of South style stuff for a while.
Oh, for a
And
while.
obviously people were really into some of those. I enjoyed the Bang, but then I've never
Mm,
rewatched it, for example.
yeah,
Same with these. I will probably not rewatch Jawan or Pathaan.
yeah,
But yeah, I appreciate the experiment. I appreciate that he's trying new things. I appreciate that he's like really going for it. I love that people seem to be into it. I'm glad for him, which I think is, I mean, I don't want to repeat myself from what we said in Pathaan, but um I hope that he does some other different kinds of things as well. We've talked about many of our
yeah.
ideas for what we would like him to do, and we have a Shahrukh episode playlist on this podcast, so you can listen to all those easily if you want to. But and I am, I think I've said this before, his romantic movies are not the ones that I love the most anyway. So like I don't care that he's not doing that. That's fine. Um, although we'll say it again to keep manifesting it for the universe, please have him do a romance with someone his own age. Like there's so many
Yes.
cool options. That would be great. But yeah, so I'm all for it, even though this isn't my favorite. And I'm trying to think, like, I've been trying to think if there's someone else I feel similarly about. So one person
Mm,
who comes to mind is Saif Ali Khan, who I really,
mm,
really like as an actor. He's always done kind of a bunch of different kinds of things. So I feel like his experimentation has also been ongoing for quite some time. And I know a lot of them don't seem to land with audiences. But I was, this list came out on Twitter like a week or two ago. I think the account is called Cinema Rare. And they had a list of the 25 trippiest Indian films. And that was a really fun list to look at. And Kalakandi was on there, which I've seen. And I was just thinking about, like, I've been thinking about Seth a little bit and how he just keeps seeming not to be able to land something that people really like. And I'm sorry for him for that, because I do think he's a good actor and I appreciate what he brings to films. And like I love Agent Vinod. That's a super favorite of mine. I think you have not seen it, if I
I've
recall
not seen it.
correctly. So there's various people that I hope will keep experimenting and find something that works, even if they don't then do 10 more of those. Just like even have the one that they feel really good, that everybody feels really good about.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
I think for Steph, like I actually really liked him in Sacred Games. I thought he was so
Yeah,
good in that.
he's
Like he
really
was
good in that.
fabulous.
Mhm.
He like played, I think it's the only movie in which he's played a cop, right? Because who would cast Saif Ali Khan as a
That seems
cop?
inconceivable, and yet
I don't
probably
think
may
he's
well be
ever played a
true.
cop. Yeah, I don't think he's ever played a cop. But like
God, that's some
Sacred
kind of
Games, I
record.
think was the first time that he. Well,
Wow.
remember when he debuted? For the longest time,
Yeah.
it's just his looks with the long hair and the nasally
Yeah.
voice. I mean, it was just he basically just did a lot of comedy movies for the longest time. Even
Yeah.
when he started breaking into the big leagues with like Salam Namaste and Kal Ho Na Ho, it was still like romantic comedy.
Yeah,
He was always like
he's
the
a
funny
businessman, not a
one.
cop. Yep.
Yeah, but like I think Sacred Games was the first time when he played like a cop
Interesting.
cop. But oh, I have to tell you, I have a thing for men in uniform. My whole family, like on my mom's side, is from the Indian
Oh,
Army. So I have grown up looking at pictures of my grandpa and my great grandfather and my grand uncles, everybody in the Indian military uniform with the cap and the everything. And watching Shahrukh Khan in a police uniform in Jawan definitely made my heart skip a beat. And I need more of that.
the
I need more of
trial where he's
Shahrukh
in
in
the
any kind of
blue.
uniform.
Yeah, it was very nice. Very nice.
Yes.
You know what
And
I
like
would love?
Shahrukh in Veer Zara in the uniform.
Oh
Shahrukh
yeah.
looks so good in uniforms. I need more uniforms from Shahrukh.
Is there a color he does not look good in?
No,
Because kind of like
it's
black
Shahrukh. He looks
washes out
gorgeous in
some people,
everything.
for example, and like pastels look really
Right.
crappy on certain people like me. Like he looks good in every color I've ever seen him in, and that includes white and black, which is I
He looks
feel like
good.
a good.
He looks good even in those terrible, like loud polyester
Oh yeah.
70s prints, like
Do
in
you
Om Shanti
know
Om, and in
in
this movie too.
in this film, so in the song where he's wearing a lot of the short sleeve patterned shirts and like kind of
Yeah,
like he's doing the French tuck or like it's kind of like rumpledy on one
yeah,
side or whatever. I was like, oh,
right.
I like this. And I
Yes,
hadn't in terms of like a new template for him, I was like, I like this better than the sort of like loosely Johnny Depp in Pirates inspired stuff from
no,
Pathaan. I'm not as into that, but like this, I was like, oh yeah, does it speak to some 70s-ness for me maybe? And that's what yeah, maybe, but I
probably.
was like, yeah, this like button down that's rumpled and kind of
Yeah,
loud, but then he's wearing just like black pants or whatever. I thought
yeah.
that was a really good look. And I love when he rips off the bald cap and you see man's got good hair.
He's got such good
And then
hair.
you get to see it and you're like, oh, thank you, movie.
Yeah, I know. Also, I would like to say, go on record as saying that I've said this before also that I do, first of all, I don't like baldness in men. It is a big turnoff. I also do not like facial hair in men. The only man who in a mustache has made my heart beat faster and like skip a beat has been Shahrukh Khan in Paheli. So even in this movie where he has the mustache, where he's with Deepika, I was like, oh, you look fine. Um,
He's Rajput again, right?
he's
So
right. This movie also reminded me of what is that movie from the one with Anushka Sharma, Rab Ne Bana Di Jodi.
yeah.
Because when Nayantara is like getting married to him, and then Irani is sending her the pictures of like the sketches or whatever, and I was like, this is Rab Ne Bana Di Jodi again, where you cannot recognize the person you're married to as like this other person. I almost wanted to say to Nayantara like, Tani partner. That was our Tani partner moment. I was like, how many people have that like hooked nose and the eyebrows? Like, man has a very distinctive
He's
face, for
very
God's
distinctive
sake.
looking. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. That's fine. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. How can
I
you tell
think
someone is pregnant by
styling
taking
wise,
their pulse? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
I did. I was like,
I
wait, that
know.
does not mean, no, that's not how it
I
works
actually kind of like
though.
looked around. There
Ugh,
was nobody immediately next to me, and I kind of looked around. I was like, "Is anyone else? This is stupid, right?" I was like, I'm just move on."
right.
Also, like
I would
the
like to
whole
point out
prison
that
is like
like,
super
so
into her pregnancy. I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not. Ugh. Anyway,
that was very funny.
prison is great in this movie.
Who is great?
Prison,
Oh yeah, Prison is
prison's
one
wonderful.
happy family.
You have
Prison actually reminded me of Hogwarts.
yeah, you have dance parties, and your jailer is someone named is it Freedom or Free or whatever, and I was like, no, no. Prison
Yeah,
is
Prison was great in
demonstrably
this movie.
not great.
I think the best show I've ever seen that that was set in a prison is probably Orange is the New Black. Highly recommend. Very, very good show. So good. I've also seen like the first season of Wentworth, which I think is an Australian show. That was also good. Also set in a prison. But then I didn't like continue watching it. But Orange is the New Black is like awesome. But yeah, this prison was very, very Hogwarts. Very entertaining. There just wasn't any magic in it. But other than that,
Well, there
yeah.
basically was.
It
It was
was,
like all 6,000 women like know
yeah.
how to fight or whatever. Even the I don't know. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
okay,
I think styling
okay.
wise, also like worst Shahrukh styling for me would be Jumeja Pathaan and the Johnny Depp look, not here for it, do not like, do not want.
No.
But the best Shahrukh styling for me will always be Jab Tak Hai Jaan with like the black tank tops and the camo pants and
Ah,
the Doc Marten-esque boots,
so kind of
um,
uniform
and like emo
adjacent.
Shahrukh. Yes, with like the motorbike, and he's by the lake, and he's you know what? I think I'm gonna go watch Jab Tak Hai Jaan again.
Mine is Dear Zindagi, Shahrukh. The rumpled
Yes, psychiatrist
linen.
Shahrukh.
It's good. It's good. Like helpful. What did I call them in our like type? The like, the smart helper man, like who's
Yeah.
wearing the linen button shirts. Like, yes.
Yes, Jahangir Khan. I think his name was Dr. Jahangir
Mhm.
Khan. No, but in this movie, when he like showed up and he was giving this speech because they won some award and he was wearing the police uniform,
Yeah.
I went, and then I looked at my friend and I said, I want to go to jail. Send me to jail. Do not want bail. Do not want to pass go. Do not want to collect
Don't do
200.
it.
Just want to be in jail with this extremely handsome jailer man. Um, so would you say, like of all of Shah Rukh's profession, would you say Dr. Jahangir Khan as the psychiatrist is like your number one favorite Shah Rukh job?
Yeah, I'm sure it would have to be. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, off the top of my head, yes. But given that that's who I pulled for our like men characters we like, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it would be because I mean, the coach Shahrukh is also good. Chuck Day coach,
Yes.
NASA scientist coach is, or NASA scientist is good. I like,
Yes.
you can see my white collar bias is here. And I do
Yeah.
not like about industrialists and businessmen. Like, I want to do gooder. I want to like, use knowledge to help people or explore the world kind of, that'd be kind of
Yeah.
thing. So
Sergeant Shah Rukh would also be good, or like Dr. Shah. He's never played a doctor, has he?
I
I
don't
don't think he's
know.
ever played a doctor or a
Don't think
surgeon.
so.
But like you would like that also, I think. You would like medical Shah Rukh, I think.
Yeah, assuming I was convinced that he had gone to medical school. We keep bringing this up. Yeah, okay, sure.
Well, I mean, he's not Shami Kapoor, so he's never going to be that believable as
Right.
like a
I
surgeon.
also don't see him doing a
But
face swap surgery. I think he would probably do
hmm.
something a little more within the realm of real. Although, I don't know. I don't know. Anything's
My
possible.
favorite brain surgery thing is probably Dr. Drake Ramore from Friends. Like Joey Tribbiani playing a brain surgeon, of course. Like I'm here
Right.
for it. Yeah, my favorite Shah Rukh all my favorite Shah Rukh looks and characters are all the military ones.
That's
Air
funny.
Force Shah Rukh from Veer Zara, Army Shah Rukh bomb diffusion expert person from Jab Tak Hai Jaan,
What
police
about
Shah Rukh from this movie.
how do you feel about Mehuna Shahrukh when he's in his uniform?
In the uniform, yes,
Yeah.
but not when he's just like in his slacks and the muffler. That's not so much my type. But like Shah Rukh in any kind of uniform and doing like anything like military or military related is definitely my jam. So interesting. You go for intellectual Shah Rukh and I go for like military
Action.
Shah Rukh.
Mhm.
I go, yeah. No, but I don't want him
Well,
to
and
do action.
you
I
come
just
from
want
a
him to dress like that.
you come from a military family, and
Yes.
I come from an academic family. Freud, go ahead, have fun with that.
Exactly. Like, what exactly are we channeling here? Also, I find it so funny. I had lunch with my friend, right? Like, then we went to watch the movie. So we were like, we had lunch, we were well fed, we were caffeinated, all the things. And she has been like a recent subscriber to the podcast. And so she goes, what was the last episode you did? Because I'm still trying to like watch your videos or
Mm.
whatever. I was like, oh, the last one was on working women. It was our Labor Day episode. And we talked about the Satyajit Ray movie Mahanagar and the Jabbar Patel movie Umberta. And she's like, and your next one is gonna be Jawan, okay?
Look, it's just about we're just women who like films. We're not trying to be more specific than that.
And we're women who like Shah Rukh Khan, so there you
Yes.
go.
Yes.
Okay, do you have any closing thoughts on Jawan, apart from people should watch it because it's a lot of fun?
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. I will just say, so I was scoping out my options for tickets, and the friend I had hoped could go with me was not able to go. So I got to
Was
just,
it PS1 friend?
no, a
Oh.
friend who started watching Bollywood with me, like way back when I started watching, moved away, is now back in town. It's very exciting. And she also loves Shah Rukh. So hopefully I can get her for Doki.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but that PS friend was also not available. So
Okay.
and then my other friend who watches movies with me sometimes is in Calcutta for a semester studying Bengali. So she's off being extremely on sabbatical. So she's off being extremely intellectual. So I was like, okay, what time do I want to go? And I was like, I could go at 7:15 on Friday night, or I could go at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning, which is a time I do like to go to the movies because you often have the theater to yourself. And I was like, no,
Yeah.
I don't want the theater to myself. I want the crowd for this. And I'm so glad I made that choice. Like the theater was not full, but I would say it was at least 3/4, which is very unusual around here for an Indian film, and the audience was having a pretty good time. And it's fun to have fun with other people and like,
Yeah.
join in the whistles and not just whistle to an empty theater because that's not as much fun. So I was really,
Yeah.
Thank you to Champagne Urbana for turning out for this film. We had a good time.
Right.
I'm so curious why you were so excited about Sanjay Dutt. You know, when he walked on the screen, I was just like, this is Sunil Dutt's son. It really
I
is a head,
know.
it really is a head scratcher.
And Nargis's son.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I was actually talking about Sunil Dutt the other day with my husband, as I am wont to do, because I do very, very much adore Sunil Dutt, and I can always bring him up in conversation, like apropos of absolutely nothing. And I was just telling my husband about how progressive and modern and intelligent and sensible Sunil Dutt was. And then you have Sanjay Dutt, who basically like lives mentally in like the 14th century. So, for example, Nargis was one of the first heroines who continued working after marriage and motherhood, and she did some of her really good iconic roles after both of those things. And Sanjay Dutt has never wanted any of his, well, he's been married like 3 times at this point, but he's never wanted any of his wives to be like a working person. I remember there was the Coffee with Karan episode where a really old one, when Madhuri Dixit was coming back to India and doing her comeback film Aja Nachle, and Karan Johar was like, "What do you think about her coming back?" And he literally, I remember, said, "Well, she's married and she has children. Why does she want to come back and be an actress? She should be home, nah." And I was like, "How are you Nargis and Sunil Dutt's child?"
Oh.
I just don't understand. It's like it's as puzzling to me as Chet Hanks being Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson's son. I don't understand that either. So yeah, also let me just say, like, I am not South Indian. However, Sanjay Dutt did not sound like any person whose name would be Mahadevan Nayak, and he was wearing a lungi, and he says his wife is Malayali. They're going to celebrate Onam. I'm like, you have never. Your accent is completely insane. You do not look like you're Mangalorean or anything by any stretch of the imagination. It's like he makes no effort at all. He's supposedly a South Indian in this movie.
Yeah. You're making me think of something that occurred to me in the film. So, because I went into this having seen a few Twitter conversations about, is this pan-Indian or whatever? And I was trying to think about like representation for the various regions of India. It seemed like it was doing pretty well. Are there any Bengali characters in this film? I don't think there are. And I was like, oh, poor Bengal. Like, why are you guys left out? Like, everybody else is in here. Like, we've got Punjabis and we've got Rajputs and we've got,
Wait, there were no Punjab. Well, yeah, there was the Sikh uncle.
There's always a Sikh uncle.
There's always a Sikh uncle.
There's always Sikh guys in the army.
Yeah.
So like there were a few, but like no one's called Chatterjee or anything. And I was like, poor Bengal. You know what? I actually, and I might just be saying this because I like Bengali cinema, although I'm trying not to just have that be my angle into this particular point. But I was trying to think who I would have cast as the Sanjay Dutt role instead. And at one point I was like, ooh, Jackie Shroff. But then when I turned on Bijou today, I was like, oh, there's Jackie Shroff. He's in that one.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, he plays like the head of Indian football or whatever. And I've seen Jackie Shroff in at least one other South Indian film too. And I was like, are you dubbed? How's this working? Anyway, I think Prasenjit would have been really fun as the negotiator, but
I wanted to cast Sunil Shetty.
Yeah, that would have been good. That would have been
Sunil Shetty would have been like very entertaining and fun, I think. And I just like seeing Sunil Shetty. He's always a good time. The acting is very, very terrible, but he brings a smile to my face. I enjoyed him in Mehuna as well.
Oh, he's so fun in that movie.
Yeah. So I actually wished that it was actually Sunil, it was Shetty instead of Sanjay Dutt. Sanjay Dutt was just ridiculous in this movie. Yeah. So I was just like, what? Also, I don't understand where Vijay Sethupathe's character is from, because like I know he's Tamilian in real life, and in the movie his last name is Marathi because it's Gaikwad, but then his accent is completely Tamil. And in the scene in the jail with Deepika, he tells her he went to school. I feel like he said he was near Ernakulam, which is near Kerala, I think. So I was very confused. So I was just like, it's fine. Don't
worry about it.
No, we're trying to be too logical, and we cannot be logical with this movie, Beth.
Look, we know we cannot bring certain kinds of logic to masala films of any kind. They have their own logic, and it's not the same logic we're trying to apply. So that's on us. We'll try to stop applying it. Medical miracles and other scientific advancements aside.
Telling people are pregnant from yeah.
Do you have any closing thoughts about Jawan?
Just that I'm just very happy for Shahrukh. I love that he's having this renaissance again. I think that a lot of I'm also happy for me as a Shahrukh Khan fan because Zero and Jab Harry Met Sejal and Happy New Year and all those things were really, really very, very exhausting to sit through. And I was just not here for it. And even though I'm not the biggest fan of either Pathaan or Jawan, at least they're watchable and they're fun, which is more than can be said for the movies he did before. So I'm happy that he's happy, he's having fun, he's enjoying himself, his audience is happy. So it just seems like everybody is happy, and that is what we need. And then you and I can go back to watching our intellectual nice movies, and I will also go back to watching my monster movies, and then we'll come back and watch another masala movie when
Yes.
Shahrukh does it, because otherwise
Yes.
I ain't watching no masala. Wow, what a rousing compliment.
And
Okay. What?
read up on your candidates and vote.
Yes. And take care of your hair and look good, and also drop your skincare routines if you are jailer auntie who has not aged a day in 30 years.
Or if you're
Because I
Vikram.
want to, or if you're Vikram, yeah, because I want to look like
Are you
these people.
Vikram? Is Vikram listening to this? No, he's not.
He don't care.
No.
Okay, well, thank you for watching Filmi Ladies. We hope that you have seen Jawan, and if you have, then come out and tell us what you think in the comments. Tell us what you think about the new Shahrukh renaissance that's happening. Are you excited for Dunki? Are you excited for Archie's, which has basically like female Shahrukh Khan, which is Suhana? Beth has feelings, I can tell from that space.
The Indian fascination with Archie's is fascinating to me. Like,
I love Archie's.
yeah, it never has struck. It's never been a thing that I've loved, even as a kid. Like, it was always in the thing by the grocery store. Like, it's always around, but no, I just like kind of faux 50s-ness is not, that's not super appealing to me. I'm sure I'll watch it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be competently made and everything, but and I do like teen dramas. That's an, I do enjoy a good teen drama. So maybe I will really like it. I don't know, but I'm highly skeptical, probably beyond what I can justify.
Yeah. I mean, I'll still watch it, and I'm very curious to see what Suhana is like. So there's a fair bit of curiosity there also.
I would definitely watch it no matter who was in it. I'm interested because who's making it, right? So like, I don't know who any of these kiddos are, and that's fine.
I don't think I'm trying to think, and I don't think I've ever seen a Zoe Akhtar movie that I did not like.
Right.
Which is kind of amazing. Like, for a director,
she hasn't made that many films.
Has she not?
Not that many, no.
I mean, like, Farah Khan has made like 3 movies, and I like 2 and I hate 1. So, but like, yeah. So like with Zoe Akhtar, there's always like, a bit of a vote of confidence from me. So we'll see. Maybe we'll like it. I don't know. The cast is not promising, but we'll see. Okay. Well, thank you for watching Filmi Ladies. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And we will see you again next week with another episode. And don't forget to ask yourself the very important question at all times of life: Kaun sa samosa? Bye.